One thing I wanted to include with our Parenting That Works parenting component is a session dealing with how the list works or how timeouts work with younger children, ages mostly 5 to 10. Timeouts are a very powerful tool, and we've learned, and most parents at one time or another have tried that. One of the more interesting examples I've heard was a parent who had basically, he came through one of my parenting classes, and he went through every excuse or every way timeouts did not work for him. And then he spent a lot of time and energy trying to fine tune the way timeouts worked. So, and something we'll talk about in a second, he would not send his kid to the kid's bedroom because he knew that's where all the stuff was at. So he actually made the bathroom his timeout room. And it was a great thing. He said, because every time he puts a child in timeout, the first thing, the child said, I need your bathroom, which means it sort of short circuits the thing, because wherever he's at, now you have to move him to the bathroom. Or I need something to drink. Well, his thing was in the bathroom, he could go to the bathroom if he needed to, or he had a sink that he could get some water from if he needed to. So it was and there was no toys as such or things that the child enjoyed playing with in the bathroom. So it worked as a great room for him. I would encourage you, as you think about timeouts with your smaller child, what are those issues that you generally have, and then spend time and energy trying to think through how those issues work with the concept of what we've been trying to teach. We do timeouts with smaller ones. We want to make sure, we call it the ABC rule. Make sure, one, it's appropriate. Does the consequence match the misbehavior? Have we gone overboard or over the top, or is it or does it fit? A child's honest mistake may not warrant a timeout, but willful defiance or misbehavior does. Hitting, kicking, hurtful language, or destroying property deserves a timeout. Okay. A is appropriate. B, brief. Is the timeout short term? I know a lot of times we try to go overboard as parents with probably the length of time. With our younger kids, it's even more brief. A good rule of thumb is 1 minute per the child's age. So if the child is 5 years old, the timeout, the loss of the list is for 5 minutes. Obviously, with our older kids, we talked about 24 to 48 hours. That would be an eternity for a 5-year-old. For a 5-year-old, 5 minutes. An 8-year-old, 8 minutes. You know your child, but a good rule of thumb, a minute per year of age. Children do far better with short-term concepts. The last thing to consider with their ABC is consistent. Are consequences given every time? Does the child remain, if the child is 5, does the child remain in timeout for the entire 5 minutes? Consistency is hard for parents, but if the rule is worth making, then the rule is worth enforcing every time. Consistent consequences helps our children make better decisions in the future. Over time, the child sort of sees that his poor choices always follows a negative consequence. More than anything else, it's this learning that influences his future choices and his future decisions. Let's add in a D. We've done A, appropriate, B, brief, C, consistent. Let's add in a D. Design. Look at the whole picture. What happens, where, and how. As we will continue to discuss, as we have continued to discuss the list throughout this course, the overall design of the timeouts is also critical to how timeout works. That's just like the dad I referenced earlier, moving the timeout room from a chair in the child's bedroom to the bathroom. His thing was he had a commode to sit on. He could he could go to the restroom if he needed to. He had access to water. He tweaked his design, and that's what we encourage you to do as well. And let's add in an E as well. A, appropriate. B, brief. C, consistent. D is for the design. E, educate. Parents should take every opportunity to teach their children how to make better choices. This is true both when kids purposely choose negative behaviors and when kids make honest mistakes. We need to always remember that discipline is about teaching and it's about kids learning. So we don't need to forget we want to make sure we do this right. Timeouts can again be very effective, but we've got to make them work for our kids. You know your kids better than anybody, but these parameters have been proven to work well with our kids. So as you think about the things that we've talked about in our sessions, we wanted to give you this one age-appropriate way of handling timeouts, because that is one of the differences that we have to consider when we deal with ages of children. Thank you, and good luck with your timeouts.